Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Worth It Then, Worth It Now, an ongoing side project I run here on this channel where I look at games of yesteryear, 10 plus years removed actually, and I line it up with a sale where possible. So today we're having a look at Hotline Miami. Came out in 2012. It has a sequel, which funnily enough as an Australian, it's still banned in Australia. I managed to pick it up back in the day through, I don't know, Steam region shenanigans that I'm not sure you can do these days. So I think if you're Australian and you want the sequel, you're out of luck. Maybe I'll go back and check that one out. I can't check when it's on sale because I can't access the store page, but I remember enjoying that as well. I feel like it was a bit misunderstood, but Hotline Miami was the first and the best in many ways. It came along at a time where it was hot on the heels of Drive, the movie of all things. I associate them closely, and the early stages of the unnamed, literally me kind of movement. I don't know what you would call it, but this in many ways channels a certain neon nighttime cool. And in this instance, it's set on the tail end of the 80s. It has obviously an incredibly bright visual design and color palette. You can see it all there. It is incredibly grisly and violent, which is pretty wild, right? Like, I mean, if you look at the graphics, they are obviously old school. It's top down, so that perspective doesn't lend itself well to what you would probably call fidelity, right? And yet it is so gruesome. Well, the sequel didn't even get past censorship in Australia. So that stands testament to what the developers managed to pull off. And it's all tied together by a fantastic soundtrack. Again, right on the tip of the spear of that indie retro revisionism music explosion that's in full force today. And I do wonder if you could even license really any of these songs at a reasonable price for a modern game. Like, you're not going to get a soundtrack like this short of some sort of new wave genre explosion of some unknown genre that doesn't exist yet again. So yeah, it has an absolute banging soundtrack, which is unreasonably good and has aged like fine wine, if only because all of the songs have become more prolific and high profile and even mainstream since then. Always cool to look back through the lens, you know. I think this is a two-man dev team, so for them to land so many incredible bangers, and you know, it's sort of like whose hand shakes what. I would say it wouldn't be an understatement to say something like Hotline Miami and its explosive success at the time had a run-on effect that positively affected said music genre. But anyway, for a certain corner of culture, as discussed, Hotline Miami stands as the rallying cry, the tent pole, the stepping off point. As far as a package goes though, it's fairly simple. There is a story that has a few layers and a different couple of protagonists, a few pivots in there, unreliable narrators thrown in as well. That again, during that explosion of YouTube popularity, kicked off a whole bunch of theory videos and explained, and you know, you could probably go right down that rabbit hole. But it is one of those stories that does not give you everything. And mind you, the story doesn't really matter so much. The core, I suppose, at surface level is that you're this dude, generally known as Jacket, who's receiving messages on your answering machine in your apartment telling you to go to X location and clean up these dudes, teach them a lesson, whatever. It's all cryptic middle talk for basically doing hits on rooms of people. You go out there, you put on a mask, you engage in the core gameplay loop, and you know, there'll be a sort of epilogue to it. Go to a video store and talk to a friend. Like, it's enough to get you in the door and get you through, but like I said, if you start going down the rabbit hole, there's a few more layers and hidden stuff there to keep fans engaged. But the real draw card is that gameplay loop section. When you do rock up at this arena, which could be multi-storied and gets more complex and tricky as it goes along, make no mistake, the game is just brutally hard as a design choice from the beginning, but it only gets harder and harder and harder. But you pick your mask that you put on your character, and most of them have some sort of bonus specific to them, like a dude that makes hitting guys with a door lethal, or you know, you can hold shift to see further into the level generally to help plan out your move. There might be a guy that makes it so you can see a bit further. Maybe you start with a knife, that sort of thing. And it's all very one hit kill, fast, frenetic, channeling what was popular at the time, things like Super Meat Boy, where a run would be like a micro run. I'm not really sure it was ever labeled as such, but it channels that vibe where you start a run, you probably make it 2 or 3 seconds into it before you get killed by the third dude that you missed your swing on and he gets his on, and rinse and repeat. Play the level for bloody 50 attempts until you finally get a clean run through. It's frenetic, it's overstimulating. If you're not in the right mood, you're going to turn to smashing your keyboard or just getting your eyes blown out by the color palette and the fast movement, trying to keep track of what's going on. These might sound like negatives, but it is an actual smorgasbord of sensory overload. And you may find yourself playing it in short bursts, if only to mitigate against getting a headache and having to lie down, something like that. But it's very distilled and unique. And let's say you could only last 15 minutes before it makes you want to smash your computer. 15 minutes later, you're going to be wanting to come back to pick it up and keep going. And as you go, you sort of have a little light meta progression. You'll unlock more masks. There's a scoreboard thing as well, so trying to run through, there's some pretty incredible stuff. I still remember from the time when it came out, videos that were going up of people doing speed runs of it, and it's incredible, and it's not really something that I could do. Not then, not now. Even though I'm a bit older, I'm probably slowing down, to be honest. But I'm quite happy to get my C or B plus rating or whatever it is that I get. I'm happy to just make it through the level without dying. So you unlock extra masks, you can unlock new weapons that'll start appearing during the run. Your value is going to vary, obviously. Like if you're sweaty and you're all over this and you're playing it for the 50th time, you could probably get through it in a couple of hours in really short order. But most of us normies are going to just grind each level for a while until we kind of fluke our way through it. It is interesting because when I picked this back up, because I have obviously a lot of nostalgia for it, I love the music, I really rode this genre. Like I said, I call it retro revisionism because a lot of it is 80s inspired music and aesthetic that would probably be out of place in the 80s. It's more through the lens of your memory than an actual one-to-one recreation of the 80s. But regardless, it's a flying genre. There's obviously a lot of people into it and I love it. And we're even talking about Toxic Commando on the main channel. That's channeling something similar as well with the same sort of soundtracks, Gunship, Carpenter Brute, that sort of thing. But even with my nostalgia picking up with it, it was tough getting into the controls. The controls aren't that complex. You can play it with thumbsticks, I'm sure, and it was released on console. But it's very much, left click, right click, space bar to do executions. Your right click is to pick up weapons and throw weapons at people. Left clicks to swing, knock dudes over with doors, and hold shift to look deeper into a level, and your middle mouse click to lock on. And there is a clunkiness to it, but funnily enough, as I've just hung up getting a bit of B-roll this morning, I've been playing it for a little bit over the past couple of days, I'm just starting to get back into the rhythm of it. I think the truth of it is, to have an introspective moment, I am spoilt for choice these days, running the main channel. I cover just about every new game. I'm on the tip of the spear of all gameplay improvements and iterations. And to go back to this was jarring, but once you give it time and actually commit, for an hour or something like that, you'll find that you do start to muscle memory. You start to get much better into a rhythm. So that'd be my one kind of caution going back to it. You might find a revulsion even to the controls, being that you are 10 years removed now and spoilt with 10 years of gameplay iteration. But counter to that, once you put your hands on it and commit for a little bit, it actually falls into place and you fall back into that rhythm. Anyway, Hotline Miami, absolute banger. I might have to look at the sequel at some point in the future. As much as I've had some yelling out loud moments, even in this short time, one more dude left on the level and he beats you and then you got to do it all again. It's like, oh God. I even feel myself talking about it now, wanting to go back and at least finish this playthrough that I started for this video. So it still has its hooks in me all these years later. And being that it's on sale for like a couple of bucks, maybe you missed it, maybe you're a younger generation, maybe it's just the right time to go back and have a look. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being and I'll catch you guys on the next one.